Charlamagne Tha God revisits Biden's "You ain't black" remarks, says whether he's earned the black vote in 2024. During an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Breakfast Club CEO host Charlamagne Tha God says President Biden has not earned the black vote ahead of 2024 and revisits his infamous "You ain't black" comment from the 2020 election. Exclusive. Multimedia mogul Charlamagne Tha God offered a blunt assessment over whether President Biden has earned the black vote if he seeks re-election in 2024. He hasn't yet. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Charlamagne was asked to revisit his infamous 2020 Breakfast Club interview with then-presidential candidate Biden when he told them "You ain't black" if they were undecided between and President Trump. Biden later walked back the comments. "The only thing I took away from it was he was taking a page out of Trump's book, and he was saying the quiet part out loud, you know," Charlamagne said. "Because whether he said it in jest or not, I'm sure that's how a large part of the Democratic Party feels. They feel like, hey, black men, black women, they're our most loyal voting bloc, and they show up for us no matter what." And I think that that's something that he probably said because he was hearing other people around him say that. It might have been shocking to hear, but he didn't say anything that folks didn't already know or folks didn't already feel like, hey, the Democratic Party takes the black vote for granted. Charlamagne Tha God rejects activists using transphobic label amid debate over medical care for trans kids. Charlamagne Tha God is seen during a campaign event and conversation with Stacey Abrams, 21 Savage, and Frances Johnson at the HBUC on September 9, 2022 in Atlanta, Georgia. Charlamagne Tha God is seen during a campaign event and conversation with Stacey Abrams, 21 Savage, and Frances Johnson at the HBUC on September 9, 2022 in Atlanta, Georgia. Elijah Newvillage/Getty Images. He continued, "That's something that I think a lot of people are realizing, there are black conservatives out there. Sorry. You know what I mean? All black people aren't a part of the Democratic Party, the people that might vote for a conservative on a local level. I bet you if you went down to Georgia and you dug into some of the people who voted for Brian Kemp, you'd be surprised, you know? Probably same thing in Florida. So I think that it's just something that I don't think the Democratic Party can take for granted anymore because everybody wants tangibles. Everybody wants something that is gonna benefit their community specifically. People are voting their interests, nothing more, nothing less." U.S. President Joe Biden speaks during a rally hosted by the Democratic National Committee, DNC, at Richard Montgomery High School on August 25, 2022 in Rockville, Maryland. U.S. President Joe Biden speaks during a rally hosted by the Democratic National Committee, DNC, at Richard Montgomery High School on August 25, 2022 in Rockville, Maryland. Drew Angerer/Getty Images. When asked whether Biden has earned the black vote as he seeks re-election in 2024, Charlamagne responded with a resounding no, citing failures to pass things like the George Floyd Policing Act. Charlamagne Tha God says DeSantis can beat Trump in GOP primary, said Biden is Dem's safest bet in 2024. "Listen, I gotta see how the next 2 years go, you know," Charlamagne said. "Personally, I mean, damn near everything they promised black people I haven't seen come to fruition. I still think they could have gone way farther on the marijuana thing. Hey, it's cool to pardon everybody that's in prison on a federal level for simple possession. But guess what? There is nobody in prison on a federal level with simple possession. You're still the president. If you really wanted to, you could have with the stroke of a pen expunged so many different records and let so many people out on a federal level if you really wanted to take it there. They volunteer these lies. I say this all the time. They volunteered to say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they get in office and can't get things done. Well, why volunteer to lie, you know?" he added. The Breakfast Club CEO host Charlamagne Tha God. The Breakfast Club CEO host Charlamagne Tha God. Courtesy of Charlamagne Tha God. During the interview, Charlamagne lamented that Biden is the Democrats' safest bet going into 2024 but wasn't confident enough to say he would beat Trump in a rematch. Charlamagne Tha God hits Biden for defending Hunter, chose to lock up instead of help black drug offenders. I think it can go either way. Like, I don't think it's a sure thing, which is sad, right? It's sad that we're saying it's still a toss-up between Trump and President Biden, Charlamagne said after pointing to the multiple investigations plaguing Trump. I think that's more indicative of what Democrats aren't doing. And for me, I just don't see the bench that the Democrats have. I personally don't see the person that they could put up in 2024 that could really galvanize and energize people. I mean, the fact that Biden is still their safest bet, ugh. I think that's sad, too. Charlamagne Tha God talks with Fox News Digital about Biden, Trump, DeSantis ahead of 2024 video. In a recent installment of his Comedy Central show Hell of a Week, Charlamagne said Democrats have nobody to put up against Trump, who declared his candidacy last month, or Florida Gov. Ron DeSantis, R., who is quickly becoming a favored GOP alternative to the party's current standard-bearer. Charlamagne Tha God mocks Kamala Harris on The View. She said nothing when asked if Manchin was real press. When asked about the presidential prospects of Vice President Kamala Harris, the Breakfast Club CEO host quickly went sour. No, I don't think the vice president stands a chance against Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis unless something magically changes over the next 2 years, and she pivots greatly, but based on what we've seen so far, no, Charlamagne said. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris speaks during the Democratic National Committee Women's Leadership Forum in Washington, D.C., U.S., on Friday, September 30, 2022. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris speaks during the Democratic National Committee Women's Leadership Forum in Washington, D.C., U.S., on Friday, September 30, 2022. Lee Vogel/Abacus/Bloomberg via Getty Images. He was equally pessimistic about Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg despite praising him as being great and crediting him for being the only Biden administration official to consistently appear on his radio show. He's part of the LGBTQ community. So I think that gives him a lens of empathy that a lot of people may not have, so he'll be able to see things from a lot of different people's sides, but I just don't know if America will embrace him because of those same reasons, he said. Charlamagne Tha God says it's legitimate to debate whether trans minors should receive medical treatment video. While Charlamagne sees Democrats scrambling to find the best presidential nominee, he also views DeSantis as a very formidable opponent. I think people are sleeping on Ron DeSantis, Charlamagne said. I can't even believe the conversations I'm hearing with people saying I don't think he can win the national election. Why not? What will make them think that he can't win a national election? Sorry to tell y'all, man. I'm from the South. I'm from South Carolina. More of the country is more like Florida than we may want to believe. Charlamagne told Fox News Digital his gut says the Florida governor would walk away the victor in a primary fight, but he stressed how celebrity has a stranglehold on American consciousness, particularly a figure like Trump who galvanized the country when he first ran in 2016. But I think what gives DeSantis a good edge is that he seems more stable. We don't want to go through that cycle of every day in the news, everybody's talking about Trump. I mean, it just leads to too much divisiveness. It leads to too much anxiety, Charlamagne said, adding he didn't want to see him on cable news every 5 minutes. And I think that non-stop media coverage is what helped him the first time. Joseph A. Wolfson is a media reporter for Min News Digital. Story tips can be sent to joseph.wolfsohn@fox.com and on Twitter @josephwolfson.